Should we mute?
Okay, so I'm going to give you some ground rules too. But my name is Carol Weinshell. I'm the Vice President of Program and Membership at Congregation Rodeph Sholom in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I tell you who I am every time I do this because we are recording and we want this for the archives. Today is March 9th, 2022. It's another one of our coffee and conversation programs. So in keeping with our theme this year of learning about our own congregants, you all know David Goldstein as the quiet man who comes to services with Brian Bedford, chants the Ashrei with Brian, and is kind and polite. So before I go on any further, I'm going to ask you all to mute yourselves. Okay, it looks like everybody is muted. Okay. So I told you that you know who David Goldstein is, and you've heard him chant the Ashrei with Brian Bedford. But the question really is, do you know who David Goldstein is? Well, today you are going to learn about his accomplishments as he directed the Summer Braille Music Institute. I am asking you, which I just did, to mute yourselves. And if there is a time when David asks for input, to please unmute, but then remute. The background sounds are especially distracting for him, so I appreciate your cooperation. I know you will find the program informative, interesting, heartwarming, and impressive. So without further ado, I give you our own David Goldstein, and I ask you to bear with any technical issues we hopefully won't have. So David, take it away.
All right. Did you say I was polite?
I did.
All right. I guess I have to live up to that too.
Well, we could ask Howard, but he hasn't started doing his job yet, so I'd go with polite.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Carol for really getting into the spirit of this. And I also want to acknowledge Gracie and Edith and Rabbi Praver and the rest who have done presentations. I didn't think of doing this until Edith talked about her camp experiences. So I am on the staff of an organization called Neighborhood Studios of Fairfield County. I've actually been there for 37 years. And the Summer Institute that we're going to be talking about today was just one of the projects I've been involved with. Neighborhood Studios is in Bridgeport and just recently moved to the building with the Downtown Cabaret Theater and the City Lights Gallery. It teaches music, dance, theater, and other arts on Saturdays and after school. It serves about 1,000 children and young adults who are mostly considered at risk, whether because of coming from the inner city or having some other special need. At this point, I'm more of a consultant and I work from home. The Summer Institute is the project dearest to my heart and has been one of the focal points of my life. I was involved in its design and ran it for 17 years until it ended in 2012. Its purpose was to help students who were blind and preparing for college to learn skills and strategies they would need for studying music at the college level. We served a total of 90 young people from 32 states and 4 countries. Many came back for at least the second year. just as Carol talks about how special it is when she meets one of her former students, I have the same satisfaction. I have followed many of them as they graduated high school and went to state universities or the New England Conservatory, the Berklee College of Music, Oberlin, Royal College of Music in London, Mount Holyoke, and Harvard. I continue to see their names all over the place, and they're doing interesting things. Sometimes I get a CD in the mail. Every Christmas, I send out about 50 emails to those whose contact information I still have, and I get about 20 replies. Okay, Carol, we're ready for the first PowerPoint. This will show you one of our groups, and I'm curious if some of you unmute, if you can guess where this program had its start.
University of Bridgeport.
Yeah, it's the Arnold Bernhardt Center.
Yeah, I had classes there, so I recall what it looks like.
Okay. Well, now to prove that we're really in Bridgeport, why don't you bring up the next picture?
Okay,
We'll see. What
Sarah, does that mean you know where this is?
Maybe that's the
Captain's Cove?
name of Captain's Cove. Yeah, maybe.
Oh,
Okay. Well, to tell you about the Institute, I need first to tell you the story behind the founding of the organization I work for, Neighborhood Studios. It was born in 1977. The school's founder was a woman named Pat Hart. She was a businesswoman with a background in journalism and did many different things. One of her interests was classical guitar. Pat had a progressive eye disease. In the 1970s, her vision loss was enough that she knew she would have to make changes. And she decided it was time to direct her life to doing things that she really would find fulfilling for herself. She wasn't certain exactly what that would be, but she knew it would have something to do with music. She went to UB and got a music degree. When she was there, she realized she needed help finding new ways to study music without usable vision, such as learning how to read it in Braille. She looked all over Connecticut for a resource, but there was none. So she made it her mission to start a place for others like herself who could not only participate in music, but have a way to get out of the house and have some social fulfillment. She asked UB for space, and they gave her an office and use of practice rooms on Saturdays. The original name of the organization was the Music Foundation for the Visually Handicapped. It started with a few adults and some children and volunteer teachers. And from day one, it began to grow. People would tell her about some need they had. She would find a way to make it happen for them, and it would become a permanent part of what the school did. For instance, transportation. She raised funds to buy a van, which would not only bring people to the school, but take them to cultural events. People wanted other art forms besides music, so she found a sculpture teacher. Then people with other disabilities wanted to join, so the word visually was taken out of the name, and it became a school of the arts for people with a variety of disabilities. One day, we had a visit from the late Alvin Ailey. He was impressed and arranged for his Ailey Dance Center to help us start a dance and movement program for children in public school. This was important because traditional gym classes didn't work for many of them, and they really needed some physical activity. When it was time for summer vacation, Pat asked the children what they were looking forward to doing most, and they didn't have an answer. She learned that for many, summer meant staying at home while their siblings went to camp. So she started a camp for them. That all happened before I started there in 1985. I had come there for what was supposed to have been a 5-week summer job. I was one of those people more interested in finding just the right thing to pique my interest than truly gainful employment, as Howard well knows. I studied Greek and Latin in college, then volunteered for 3 years at a radio station, and then went back to graduate school. This job at the organization at least had the potential to fit all my ideas of what I would like to do. So I moved to Bridgeport, and it was my job. Something interesting came along in 1988. I was asked to research whether computers had gotten to the point where they could be used to help blind music students with a perennial problem. At that time, there was no practical way to independently write music that could be handed in on paper as an assignment or given to others to read and perform. I contacted and got friendly with others who were experimenting, and we eventually got a system going for the school. I wrote an article about it that was published in a magazine covering emergency technology for the blind. And then we started getting phone calls. I thought they would be about the technology, but they weren't. They were primarily from parents with a sad story. Their son had always been musically gifted. He would get accolades at his recitals in the piano teacher's living room. And everybody assumed that he was on the way to becoming the next George Shearing. Then he got to college and was totally shocked. He had no way of functioning at all because he couldn't read or write music. And the parents would ask, was there something we could do to help before he at best switched majors or at worst gave up and got despondent? I think that's when the dream solidified of having a residential program that would equip these kinds of students with what they needed to succeed. There were other programs in the country that trained blind students to negotiate college, but none of them were centered around music. Pat Hart decided that starting such a program would be a good goal to have accomplished before her retirement, still a few years down the road. But at that time, we had amassed considerable expertise in arts education of the blind. We were the only school in Connecticut to teach Braille music. Our work, the computer and dance, and another program we started for blind toddlers made us known nationally. But these programs weren't very economical. The handwriting was on the wall that when Pat retired, the next leader would change the school's direction, which indeed is what happened. So to preserve what we had and to make sure that people would be able to continue to get inquiries answered, she set up a separate division. It's called the National Resource Center for Blind Musicians, and I'm its one-person staff. And I can tell you a problem with having such a long title is that everybody thinks it's a big department. I once got email from a delegation in Turkey that wanted to come. They wanted to, spend several days observing at the school, and they were asking about places to live and, all that kind of stuff. And I said, this is just a place with a few classrooms and a cafeteria kind of thing that can be changed into a gym and auditorium. I really would not suggest you come. So anyway, the resource center was going along, and it was 1996, and our first residential program was a few months away. I had the feeling that while we had considered some of the things in our plans, such as that the students would live in a dorm at UB and eat in UB dining room, and where we would buy or borrow the books and equipment, there were lots of things we had not discussed. I'm the youngest in the family, so I know how to ask questions. Recently, I've been hearing from some of you that I ask a lot of questions. So I decided to ask other questions, and I said, on all other nights, I mean, on all summer nights at UB, supper is at 4:30. We will have 7 16-year-olds. What do we do with them from 5:30 until bedtime, assuming there is a bedtime? And suppose someone comes with medication like eye drops, who is going to see this person takes that medicine? And suppose further that the medicine needs to be refrigerated. Does the dorm even have a refrigerator? And just suppose one or more of the staff or an older student comes with a guide dog and is coming by plane. This is a 3-week program. We can't expect them to carry all the dog food. That would be like requiring the students to bring their own pianos, which I always said every year, you don't have to bring your pianos, and they would say, ha ha. So my question was, should we provide the dog food? And don't forget, each dog is different and requires a different grade. At that point, they said, David, if that's what's worrying you, you figure it out. And that's what I did from then on. I discovered I was in my element. I loved finding the specialist teachers who needed to be sought from all over the country. It was fun interviewing and training college students to be assistants. I loved talking to the parents, ordering the books, crawling under the table to set up the computer equipment until some insects living in UB's computer music lab bit me. It became a year-round job. It included publicity, raising funds, and sending out and going through the student applications. Speaking of funding, one day we got a letter from the National Endowment for the Arts. They said they had heard about us and wanted to know more. We were invited to have breakfast with one of their administrators in New York. That led to our getting money from them. And it was great to get up on stage and say, this program is funded in part by a grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. I'm not going to talk about the curriculum here because I'll be showing you a video later. Okay, Carol, this is where you can bring up the next PowerPoint too about concerts. We held the program in Bridgeport for 5 years. It ran for 3 weeks, and I guess you really could call it a music camp. The emphasis was on study, but besides that, the students prepared to give at least one concert. So we should have a
Wait,
picture.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
one sec. Are you all seeing the picture? Debbie, are you seeing it?
No, I'm not.
Okay, hold on 1 second. David, hold on.
Well, I can just continue.
No, wait a minute. What I didn't do is I didn't share it. Sorry. Okay, Debbie, now are you seeing it?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry, David.
Thank you. So here's a picture from the beginning of one concert. This is one that we did for other children attending the school. We had more formal ones when we dressed to the gills, and my parents would invite all their friends and some relatives, and we'd fill up the recital hall. Our cousin would come every year from Maine to help with the setup and refreshments. Okay, next picture. This is the jazz ensemble we used to have. I think the word music camp evokes dreams of being in a band. So most of the students found it exhilarating, except the classical pianists. And they enjoyed the teamwork. When I would speak to parents, the first thing they would say was, my child doesn't have any friends. Here, the students immediately found commonality with others. Okay, now the next picture. And now I introduce Jessica and Kyle. Jessica is from New Mexico and Kyle is from Utah. It was not the case with these two, but we did have two students who met at the program and got married about 15 years later. Several students went to the wedding, including these two in the picture. I think Jessica's okay with my telling the story as long as I don't tell her concert manager, which she does have. Jessica came in 1997 and was really looking forward to coming back the next year. So much so that the morning that her parents put her on the plane, she said nothing about not feeling well. It's a pretty long plane ride from New Mexico to LaGuardia. She ended up not at UV, but at St. Vincent's with appendicitis and was operated on that night. I got a call from the hospital saying that they were going to release her that afternoon. So who do you call in a situation like that? Well, I called my parents, and so we took her out of the hospital and got her installed in my childhood bedroom. And then from then on, I've known that a princess slept in my bed. I actually tried to get her to say to my mom that she felt a pee under the mattress, but I don't think she did. I could go on telling you about the other students because every student has a story. We had a strict application process and required everyone to demonstrate their music ability by sending an audition tape, but we weren't looking for prodigies. Now, these grown-up people, and some of them are in their 40s, are in many professions, mostly not having to do with music. Some came from as close as Bridgeport and Hamden, and others as far as a sheep ranch in Mexico. One was discovered by the wife of the ambassador to the country of Chad. The wife was getting a tour of the cathedral in the capital, and she heard and saw a blind man playing the piano. He was playing Bach, according to some stories, and Scott Joplin, according to other stories. My understanding is that those were the only things that the priest remembered from his own piano lessons. This ambassador's wife had a sister who worked at the Perkins School for the Blind in Massachusetts, and they made special arrangements for this young man, Yege, to spend several years at Perkins, and he would come to our program in the summer. After the third summer, the university told us that the dorm and dining room wouldn't be open. So we started living at Sacred Heart and took a van each morning to our classrooms at UB. As you may have seen in the first picture, this was the time when UB was getting a little dilapidated, and Sacred Heart also had growing pains. One year, the air conditioning in the dorm just wouldn't shut off. Everybody was freezing because they had all just brought summer clothes. My mom called her friends, and at supper time, my parents pulled up with a trunk full of blankets. No offense, but Bridgeport became just too scary to run a program in. The next year, we were invited to hold our program at Agnes Scott College in Decatur, Georgia. This is one of those exclusive places for Southern belles. We were introduced to Southern hospitality and collard greens and sweet tea and key lime pie. But that was just a one-time thing. We needed to find us a new home, and we did. Okay, Carol, PowerPoint 3.
Okay. Give me, wait a minute. Hold on, David. PowerPoint. Okay, it's up.
Okay, this is the Overbrook School for the Blind. And I'll show you the next picture to give you a hint of where it's located. And if you want to unmute, you can.
I put the next picture up.
So where was the school?
Philadelphia?
Yep. And it's interesting because you don't expect a place looking like this in Philadelphia. But we really love this place. The dorm was set,
Go back, David, so they can see.
okay.
Okay, I went back so they can see the grassy area.
Yeah, I think you can also see some of the arched windows. And this is, I was going to say this later, but this was built in Spanish cloister architecture. And it's one of the few Spanish cloister areas in the East Coast. So anyway, we really love this place. It had single rooms and living room and a kitchen. And now if we go to picture 3, which was taken in the kitchen, you'll see a young man doing something, opening something. Have any idea what he's opening?
Looks like a fortune cookie.
It is, but it's a Braille fortune cookie.
Oh, my.
I I found this company called the Lucky Touch Fortune Cookie Company. It was actually run by the students of the California School for the Blind. They had some parents who were in the Chinese food business, and they would make these Braille fortune cookies that the students would pack and ship out. And so for many years, I was one of their biggest customers. Okay, the program became a 1-week intensive, focusing on the essentials the students couldn't get anywhere else. But whatever we did, the friendship part was really important. We stopped going to the Liberty Bell. The students said, "We have so much to learn and you're giving us homework and it's such a short time. We'd rather stay here and spend the time with each other." One day, one of the students told me the group had decided that 2 staff members were an item. The students were right. The item eventually married. I said, "Hey guys, this is the National Resource Center, not the National Romance Center." It wasn't just the students who made friends. Okay, next PowerPoint.
Okay, hold on, let me get it. Give me a second. Okay. It's up.
Okay, well, see a couple of residents touching noses. We had lots of dogs over the years. And the dogs, would be in harness most of the day, but in the evenings, they knew that they could play. And so if you bring up the next picture, this has convinced me that the dogs really do have a sense of humor. Somebody told me they look kind of silly, but the humor is that the dog that's being held on the leash really belongs to the person holding the leash, but the dog has decided to get into the lap of another dog owner. And so that person's dog owner was, that person's dog was just standing there very surprised. And so there was lots of howling and barking, and it was very funny. Okay, so we're on schedule and
Yes.
we're ready to show the video.
Okay,
Don't start it yet. But,
okay.
I will tell you that this is a shortened version of a longer video that we made. And I put together this shortened version 4 times when I would speak to groups, fundraisers or whatever. And so I designed it so at least the beginning part, you'll hear some sounds, but I talk over it. So Howard, you may want to turn down your speakers so it doesn't get too choppy. But you
Okay.
can start it when you're ready. If you turn it down just a little bit.
Oh, wait a minute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
All right, so you see me, and eventually you'll see some of the things that the program did. I think you can turn it down further.
better?
And yes,
Okay.
I think so. And you'll see the piano player was one of our students. Then you'll see more of the campus, which was built in 1898. And one of the reasons we did the program on a campus like this was to give the students the experience of getting around a campus like they would have to in college. So eventually you will see them walking to their class. And this class, the students always called Touch and Sing. It was sight reading and taking down melodic dictation and other things that you would be required to do in music theory class. After that, you'll see some one-on-one lessons. So now I'll stop talking so you can see what's going on.
The girls didn't start. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2.
Well, they're reading from the Braille.
So this exercise is going to have quarter notes, eighth notes, half notes, and there is going to be one rest. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and.
So now she's checking their work, and the devices that they've been writing on is very similar to what I'm reading my notes on now. It's called a Braille note.
G, D,
D,
then B flat.
there's no flat.
I mean, yeah, it's B, you're right.
B, D, G. G, D, B, D,
16 plus
G,
right, yeah.
F.
Go.
So,
So. Oh, no, it'd be.
yeah,
No, it'd be.
yeah, that's it. G.
If you become comfortable with the Braille, how would you
Another
review
lesson.
the same sort of information for Amarilli?
Well, I'll be able to find the measure in the score and look at it and make sure that I'm doing it correctly.
So let's just talk about triads right now. What's the interval content of a major triad? If we wanted to sort of compare these notes or what's going on with
Each note is a third.
I want you to know that you can use certain status keys that really help
Okay,
you.
now we're in the computer lab, and I think you can turn it down so I can talk over this.
But type an N and see where you are. It'll even say
We
not-
were able to teach 3 students at a time, and they're learning how to put in music. This software advanced quite a bit from 1988. And the computer workstations are basically what Howard and I use when we get on Zoom here. There is a Braille display that shows one line at a time of what's on the computer screen. And then the computer also has some synthesized speech, so sometimes we go by what the speech is saying. And while they're working, I will tell you that we always had visitors come. Sometimes they would be professors and teachers coming to observe. And other times we would have somebody come to talk to the students about their careers and what was required for them. And so the next person you'll be seeing is a studio engineer, and he's talking about the realities of recording studios. And while he's talking, you'll see the students actually collaborating on a recording. So why don't we turn it up now?
There are not that many big studios anymore. And the ones that there are, there's 100 engineers out there looking for any one position that there is available. And most of them use Pro Tools, which is not accessible. And it's very frustrating, because I know people that have gone through it. And you know, so it's just something to think about if you do decide to do this. I mean, I'm not saying this to be negative or anything at all. Believe me, I think that we can do anything that any of our sighted piano players can do. I've always managed by running my own place, you know, running my own studio and having a specific kind of clientele that I want to cater to.
The young people who come to the Summer Institute find the instruction they have been seeking, but leave with much more.
I was very excited to hear about this institute because I've been wanting to learn Braille music for many, many years now. I came here with a basic understanding of Braille music, but I feel that I've learned so much this week, and every single moment has been extremely fun and extremely educational. I know that the information that I've gathered this week will be very, very valuable to me in the future because I plan to major in vocal performance at a music conservatory and become a professional opera singer. I came here hoping to get a better grasp of Braille music and to get better acquainted with the software that was used to translate music into Braille and to compose music, and didn't expect to actually be composing, but I have, and I've really enjoyed it.
Working and talking in the labs, the lounges, the picnic area, the pool, they gain a network of friends and mentors and memories to last a lifetime.
Right? Oh, no.
Oops, well, okay, I don't know what happened, but anyway.
I don't know if I can get back to it.
No, I don't think it's not that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't
There'll
think
just be a
so.
few more pictures, but
Yeah, I can't get back to
yeah,
it.
okay. Why don't you stop it and
I'm sorry.
okay. Well, it did really well, and the only thing left, I wanted to play you some of the students' music and tell you a little bit about them, but we are on schedule, so I think we can open it up and
We still have, David, we still have the performers.
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I think we can just do as many as we have time for
Okay.
toward the end. So
Do you want me to go to them, to the
you
performers?
can go to them, but I thought
Okay.
I might be able to take some comments from here and make sure people are awake and whether the rabbi wants his money back yet.
Okay. I'm going to pull up the performers because I think when this group hears what I heard, that's when the tears are going to flow.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so
I really don't want them to flow, but okay.
okay, so
All right, so
I have the girl.
Okay,
Oh.
the girl is named Sylvia Aponte, and she is from Puerto Rico. She came all this way because she had lost a substantial amount of vision, and her dream was to be able to go and eventually become a teacher at the Conservatory of Music in Puerto Rico, which she did. So I will tell you about the other students, and then we can listen to some of their work. So why don't you bring up the next picture?
The accordion.
Yes. Okay, this is Brent Buswell. He was originally from Vermont, and he's one of the students who married another student. And he came for 3 years. He probably didn't need to come for 3 years, but I had such a good time having him that I just couldn't bear not having him. So he has several CDs out. He's also sort of the envy of everybody else because everybody else, would study really hard. And if they were lucky, once a year, they get an opportunity to have a recital or something like that. Whereas Brent goes around with his accordion to all these Scandinavian festivals and beer, whatever. And he's always having a wonderful time. And his CD, one of them says, if your day is going badly, start it off with a polka. So I'm not going to play a polka, but I'll play something else that I think is fun. I'm curious, Edith, were there accordion players in Hungary?
Mostly Hungary is known for violinists.
Oh, okay, because the piece that I'm going to play is called Hungarian Rag, and it seems like it
Oh,
was written.
Hungarian Rag, it's beautiful, yeah.
Okay.
They play in Hungary, yes.
Yeah. Well, he was
It's
from,
very good.
yeah, I think he was from Finnish ancestry.
And Polish, a lot of Polish polka.
Yeah. Okay, so then the final picture. This is the voice ensemble. We did at one of the concerts. And as tokens of appreciation to the rabbi and Paul Friend, we're playing The Lion Sleeps Tonight. So, all right, so I guess we can go to number 4 and listen to Sylvia.
Okay, we're going to hope, right?
Yeah, sorry. Oops. Well, I guess we'll listen to Brent first.
Okay, sorry.
And I will tell you that, he used to, we would go swimming and we would be in the pool and he would be playing the accordion for us. And I just have such memories of that.
Okay, David, I don't know which one is coming up next, so it'll be anybody's guess.
Okay.
It was wonderful.
Okay, here we go. Oh, no, we don't want him again. Okay. I may have to fix if I can't.
Okay, this is okay. We can play this.
Away. We away. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. In the jungle, the quiet jungle, the lion sleeps tonight. We away. We away. Near the village, the peaceful village, the lion sleeps tonight. Near the village, the quiet village, the lion sleeps tonight. We away. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. Hush, my darling, don't fear, my darling, the lion sleeps tonight. We away. We away. We away. We away.
All right, David,
Yes.
I have lost Sylvia.
All right.
Do you want me to try to find her while you're chatting?
Yes, if you can. Otherwise, it's
So
okay.
you keep talking.
All right.
And I will look.
So I open it up to everybody.
Hello, David. It's Richard Wurtzel from New Haven, Howard's,
wow.
New York.
And
It's wonderful. And I just wanted to say I was impressed years ago when I came to the concerts at University of Bridgeport. And your family was there and it was wonderful.
yes, I remember you being there.
Yes.
Hi, David. This is Lee Gould. I'd like to know, is there tuition to these schools?
I'm sorry, who is this?
Is
I'd
there?
like to know,
Oh,
this is Lee Gould. I'd like to know if there's tuition to these schools.
well, for certain programs, but actually the rescue plan made all kinds of money available to arts programs for this year. So we're offering just about all the programs for free now. But this particular program I haven't done in 10 years. But the programs for people living locally are definitely around and looking for people.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to try to give you Sylvia, so just bear with me. I don't know that I can, but I'm going to try. Let's see if I can open it. No, I'm not getting her singing. Just keep going, and I'm going to try because she is absolutely amazing. So you may hear but not see.
Well, you're not supposed to see. It's just,
I know. but
Just listen.
I only have her picture.
oh, okay.
I'm not sure what happened to the audio, but I will keep going while you keep talking.
All right. So anybody have anything else to say?
Yeah, David, it's Brian. My wife Ellen was the teacher of the visually impaired, as David knows. And years ago, we used to go to the annual conferences
Okay,
with
here
the
we go.
Federation of the Blind. And
Right, hold
One
on.
lady
Can you
falls
all
in
hear?
love and desires to marry, but her father does not agree with this marriage. Therefore,
I'm sorry,
she tries to
Brian.
persuade him by pleading and begging for his consent. The title is O mio babino caro, which translates into Oh my dear daddy.
Can you hear her?
Yes, it's good.
Oh mio babino caro, mi piace bello, bello, andare in porta rossa a comparar l'anello. Sì, sì, ci voglio andare, e se l'amasse intorno, attraverso il ponte vecchio, ma per buttarmi in arno, le strague di tormento, vorrei morire. Babbo, pietà, pietà. Babbo, pietà, pietà.
Brings
Brian,
tears to my eyes.
I told you you'd cry. That's why I didn't want to lose her. Brian,
Yeah.
the computer cut you off, not me. So will you talk?
no, that's all right, no problem.
Will you
I'm
talk
still
about-
here.
Talk about
All right, so-
Ellen again?
All right, so what I was saying was my wife Ellen and I used to go to the annual convention for the Federation of the Blind. And many of the exhibits and speakers talked about the various technologies that were being developed and utilized. And one of the guys, David, as you know, was Ray Kurzweil. I always remember that name. He was heavily involved. And was he able to assist with your projects and undertakings? Did he get involved in any of that?
He didn't directly, but we certainly used a lot of the equipment that he developed.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
Howard,
Yes.
I'm waiting. I've been very patient.
Okay, heckle, heckle. That's it.
Okay.
Is it worth a shekel?
Did he do a good job, Howard?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Did he do a good job?
He did a fantastic job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure did. David, it's David Goldstein, it's Rabbi over here. I just wanted to thank you for a wonderful presentation. And I don't know if I missed something, but do you play a musical instrument yourself? Did you get any training yourself?
I attempted to, but I always rebelled. I couldn't stand being told to put one finger in a certain place. So I can play guitars and harmonicas and rubber bands and electric toothbrushes and all kinds of things, but not because of training.
Yeah, so I just think it's even more amazing that, you know, since you don't play an instrument yourself or compose music, you know, in Braille and so on, that you have inspired so many people to do the very thing that you are not yourself practicing. You know what I'm saying? But that you brought that into education and the ability to inspire so many. And I think that's really, truly impressive. So I wanted to thank you.
Thank you. And actually, I did get to compose some things because the computer stuff was in my office. And so it was fun to fool around with. And anyway, it was, you know, just wonderful having, you know, being able to hear from people and know that they had a particular dream and having the wherewithal or finding the wherewithal to make them happen and help them get where they wanted to be, and then to be able to continue hearing from them and following them has been really very rewarding.
Jackie?
David, it's Jackie Gerlich from the synagogue. I just have to say thank you so much. This was so very impressive. This was just these talented individuals were able to overcome whatever handicap to pursue their dreams. I give you so much credit, the whole committee, everybody. It was a wonderful presentation. And all I can say is you are awesome and they are awesome. Thank you.
I say bravo, bravo.
Agree.
I agree.
David, you are a very, very special person. I'm in awe of all that you have done and look forward to hearing more from you.
You are amazing and a role model. This should be shared with a lot of young people who are bored. You are just amazing. Thank you.
And now I'm waiting for you, Rusty, to give me a good kick in the pants.
David,
David,
it's
this
Gracie and Charlie. We just want to say, reiterate what Howard said. You did a fantastic job. And as Jackie said, we give you a lot of credit for what you're doing. You're an amazing person. And I can only imagine how rewarding this must be for you to follow all these, what these young people have accomplished by attending your school. Thank you again.
Thank you, Gracie. You really gave me the idea when you started, did the one on the Sudan. That was great. And hi, Charlie.
Debbie?
No, I was just going to say, David, what an amazing program. And to think that you didn't even know that you had a story to tell is amazing. And I'm so glad we have this for our archives, because all of the people who have shared stories about their life, we have amazing, amazing members at Rodeph Sholom. And I hope that some of the folks who haven't been on this program will get a chance to see your story, David, because it truly is special, different, just like some of the other stories are. So we have quite the congregation. Sometimes people feel we're a little small in number, but boy, are we great in talents and stories. And thank you for sharing, and thank you for letting us have this for our archives.
Richard, I'm so glad you came back to visit. Probably nobody really knows who you are. But, Richard grew up at Rodeph Sholom. I went to school with his brother, who's in West Texas, correct?
He's still down in McAllen, Texas. Actually, Edinburgh, Texas. And it's nice to be here, but you know, I know David very well. I've met him several times, but I also know Howard very well. And I can only say that Howard also has, and his brother, David, has a good sense of humor. And the only thing that was missing today was they love to listen to Mickey Katz. So I'm surprised they didn't have a little music from him too.
Yeah, we never had
And
a Spike
Richard,
Jones
you
on the
came to our alumni event, right, a couple of years ago?
I did, of course. Yeah.
So Richard, April 30th, I'm going to make sure you get an invitation. We have a very special day with Rabbi Nelson, David Nelson joining us, and Rabbi Stephen Leon. So I'm going to make sure that you, April 30th, mark it on your calendar. I'll make sure you get an invitation.
I'll definitely be there.
Okay. I wish you could make your brother come back too.
You know what, with COVID, he hasn't been back in a long time, but we're all going to be together down in San Antonio for July 4th.
Nice.
But he'll come up eventually.
Okay, I'm counting on that. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up. This was fabulous. David,
Thank you so much.
It was going to be great. I talked to you so much, learned about it, and what you've done is just incredible. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you on behalf of Rodeph Sholom. I don't know why we've got feedback, but and hopefully this will have recorded. Everybody who has faith and confidence in me, let's hope that it worked. And we've got more programs coming up on the 20th. Rabbi Praver is doing a program on the forgotten refugees, and it is all on Zoom. So you'll be getting more information about the programs. Check your email, be aware, we are very busy. David,
and Carol, can we just mention the rabbi's class? If you've never attended the rabbi's class and you want to, tomorrow on Zoom at 10 o'clock or in person, I think. So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, if you'd like to attend one of the rabbi's classes.
And learn something new. It's always good to learn something new. So with that said, Rabbi, I guess you're going to have to collect your pay for coming.
Yeah. Well, David, I decided I'm not going to charge you in the end because it was such a good program. Actually, I'm going to pay you. Next time I see you, I'm going to give you a gold shekel if I can find one. It's great to see Richard Wurzel here. Hi, Richard. And hopefully we'll see you on the 30th of April. Thank you, David. David, wonderful program. Thank you.
This was great, really great. I'm honored to have been able to work with you. So with that said, I'm going to end the program. Thank you all for coming.